Underground. 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 Underground.
Greetings, surface dwellers. My name is Michael, and these are my chthonic musings. This past weekend, I attended ShireCon 2025, and I'd like to, in this video, go over my experiences. So, ShireCon is an annual gaming convention held in the very northwest corner of Connecticut, in North Canaan, Connecticut. It's organized by Tom Wilson of Throwy Games, and this year it was a two-day event, Friday, September 26th, and Saturday to September 27th. This was the 7th ShireCon, and started in 2018. I've been going since 2019, and this was actually my first convention, first gaming convention that I had ever been to. And I've been trying to come back every year since. 2020, there was no convention due to COVID. And 2023, I bought a badge, and it was intending to go, but got sick right before and had to bail out. But every other year, I've been going and having a great time. And this is the first year that I actually stepped up to the plate to run a game on Friday in the first slot, the 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. slot. And that was quite an experience, a very good one. But it was a little nerve-wracking, leading up to it. So the plan this year was on Friday to run a game in the first slot, and then in the evening slot, the 5:30 to 9:30, I had signed up to be in Rob Conley's game that he was running. And as it turned out, Rob and his wife got sick, and just like what happened to me in 2023, he couldn't attend. And I'll go over that a little bit later, but it actually turned out to be, as much as I would have loved to be in Rob's game, it actually turned out a little bit for the best for me, that the evening was freed up. Then the plan for Saturday, I think there were three gaming sessions scheduled, and I signed up in the first one, the morning. I think it was like 9 to 1. No, 9 to... No, I think that's right. Yeah, it was 9 to 1 because it's a 4-hour slot. I think the middle game slot is the 3-hour slot, and then back to a 4-hour slot for the end. So I didn't sign up for anything in the middle. And then signed up for the Tavern Brawl game at the end. And yeah, so I'll go over, what occurred. So Friday noon, after driving up to North Canaan, I could live in driving distance from this, so I didn't have to worry about staying overnight or anything like that. After registering and getting the swag and the T-shirt that I had purchased for this year, and a little bit of chit chat, with some of the folks. Start to set up my table. I was a little concerned because I had opened up the game for like 4 to 6 players, and then got 3 people to sign up for the game. And I thought, well, that's a little light, but I can manage 3 people. I'll just, I'll make an NPC or 2, and then, we'll make do because Dragonbane is optimal for like 3 to 5 players, I think. So I wasn't too concerned about that. But then one player dropped out before. This was before the I drove her up to the convention, so was starting with 2 people signed up for the game, so I was a little concerned. But luckily the 2 players were amenable to running 2 characters each. So then that was good. So then we'd have like 4 characters, and I wasn't too concerned. And then I could still throw in 1 extra NPC if they wanted to to have that. Now I would run the NPC, and that would be a good full party. And then as it turned out, we did have another player come up to the table and join in. So I did end up with 3 players. Since we already were picking 2 characters each, so wound up with them running the 6 characters, which is kind of what I had originally intended for. Now, I won't go blow by blow, on everything that occurred during this adventure, but I do want to touch upon a few high-level, considerations that I had. And one was, I was expecting that, not necessarily anybody would have, played Dragonbane before. This would be their first time to the game. So I wanted to make sure that I introduced, as many parts of the game as, as possible and put that in. Also, I, given that it's a convention, and it's a one-shot, obviously, so, I had like 4 hours maximum, because I don't want, if you like to leave it so that, maybe you end a little bit early, like 20 minutes earlier, or even, half an hour early or something like that. That way, if you bleed in, because the end of the time slot is a hard stop. And another consideration was I can't really abide a railroaded adventure. So I really needed to have like some dynamic elements where, the actions of the players would really make a difference. And so I knew I was, kind of asking for trouble, to try to keep this, constrained, and also to come to, a resolution of some sort, at the end of this session. But something I really, wanted to take up the challenge to get it done. So I had a lot of pieces. I did a lot of work ahead of time with putting together some, scenes and a little bit of, not terrain, I wasn't crazy enough to bring like Dwarven Forge stuff to the convention, but, paper maps and such. So that was part of it. But I think it all in all, it turned out very well. And one of the things is, at ShireCon, I don't know if I've ever come across a really problem player. Everybody that it seems like everybody that comes to ShireCon is like either a game master themselves or just really excellent players. So I would certainly make tweaks here or there, if I were to do a similar thing again. The beginning was a little bit long. I probably could have, streamlined it a bit, but players started out in a city, and I had a city map with different districts, and introduce. I wanted to figure out how to showcase a little bit of the character advancement, which obviously you don't do during the middle of the game in Dragonbane typically. It's between sessions, but I didn't have between sessions, but I didn't want to ignore it altogether, because I think it's kind of an interesting part of the game, and you wouldn't know about it if you were to just play one session of Dragonbane and say, okay, now I've experienced this game, because you haven't really experienced the in-between sessions. So I put together a way that they could do some of their character advancement roles during play, and that wound up to be a little bit of a mixed bag, because it probably took up a little bit too much of the time, energy for the benefit that I got. But like I said, if I did it again, I'd probably streamline it a little bit. But it did. I also tied it to a bunch of rumors. So, we did have like the characters were moving around, and you doing multiple things, and also getting some experiences, and talking to NPCs and getting some rumors. And there was one thing that actually turned out very well from this part of the game, and that is that the characters decided to split up and just go across the city, because it was fairly safe, and that ended up in one kind of semi-combat encounter with a single character for one of the players. But the character was easily able to turn the tables, and well, not only that, but also to capture the cultists that tried to blow a blowgun with a poison needle against this character, and he got the shakedown. He got a little bit of information about the cultists had taken some poison ahead of time, and then kind of died of the poison in the arms of this character. Then in the city, before they were scheduled to leave, the PCs were witness to during a performance of sorts of an attempted abduction, and they were successful in preventing this abduction, and the combat turned out very well in that the whole arrangement was very constrained, physically constrained. So there were many like acrobatics roles of trying to jump up on the stage and position themselves, and so it was very dynamic, and I think that worked out fairly well. So the players were able to actually prevent this abduction, which was kind of up in the air, because had they not, things would have turned out a little bit different. But then they ended up pursuing the abductors out of the city in a non-conventional way. So they didn't necessarily go out into the directly into the canyons the next morning. They had left by one of the unconventional routes, and I had actually designed it a second unconventional route, and they had actually got the rumor for it. They had been approached by a merchant who said he had another way out of the city that could take them through another to a place they wouldn't normally be able to get to. But the players thought, no, that sounds, well, they might have thought it was a little sketchy, which was a possibility, and also took them away from their goal of where they wanted to get to, because they had a rumor of initially of one of their two leads was a wizard's tower. And they kind of decided on that. That's what they wanted to do. And after a little bit of brief point crawling, they wound up in the back into the canyons from a different direction. And I had made like a tile set with the different areas of the canyon, and also had you can see up here on the top right. One of the players' characters also had a map to it, And this worked out pretty well because the players were able to, from the one hex, kind of suss out where on the map they were, and correctly went in the right direction to get to the wizard's tower that they wanted to get to. So that worked out a little bit well. You had kind of the, player skill versus character skill. It was entirely up to the players to figure out where they were and where they, what direction to head. And another thing I had in the during the entire adventure was I had to ask one of the players to mine the time that was passing. I have a sheet that actually was from the Dragonbane adventure Path of Glory, and it has has the time broken out by 6 different days, and then within Dragonbane you have what they call shifts, which are 6-hour blocks. So there are 4 shifts per day, and then within each shift block, there's what Dragonbane calls stretches, which are 15-minute blocks of time. So each one of those was like a checkbox. So if 45 minutes goes by, I just ask the player to mark off 3 stretches, 3 of those checkboxes. And I think that really worked well because it kind of kept physical the sense of time passing, and therefore the time pressure. Things are happening. And just from that, they didn't have to say, "Oh, what time is it? Is it time for us to take a rest or whatever?" They knew what time it was because they could see right on the sheet. And after some more travel, and they made their way to the Wizard Tower, and after some role playing and talking and examining things, and they finally got into a dungeon and would set up for the final encounter, and the session wrapped up just about exactly on time. I don't know if there was 5 minutes to spare or so, but it was just about the exact 4-hour mark, which was really quite amazing because I had, I was kind of surfing on a wave of chaos throughout the whole adventure. And, instead of having everything written out, this happens and this happens and this happens, I just had a pile of different encounters and places that they could have went to, and things that they could have, encountered and done. All in Ziploc baggies in a pile behind my DM screen. So, but in the end, everything worked out, I think, really well, and I think my players had a good time. I should mention at this point that I neglected to take any pictures during the entire convention. So, everything that I'm showing, I had to kind of recreate and just take pictures of everything that I used in my game, and we'll talk about it a little bit. But there'll also be pictures that of the things that I acquired during the convention. But yeah, I always just forget. I get caught up in the moment and never think to take pictures of at the time. So after my game that I ran on the first session on Friday, spent some time packing everything up, gathering everything together, and bring it back to my car. So a lot of this is not something that I ever would have even thought to attempt if I was traveling to a convention. If I had to take a flight or something, none of that would have been possible. But since I was driving and my car was just right outside, then so I packed everything back up in the car, and then there was only half an hour between the end of that session and what would have been the beginning of the next session. Well, there was a next session, but like I said, the game that I was going to be in was canceled. So I waited around, and once the other games started to come together, it looked like everything was all the games were coming together, and I looked around to see if there was something interesting that I could get into. But there were a number of interesting games, but there didn't seem to be anybody that was like, in dire straits, or like, oh, we need one more player to get this, going. Otherwise, people will be disappointed and we'll have to cancel the game or something like that. And also my back was starting to kill me. I spent the entire prior session on my feet, running the other game. In earlier times, 4 hours of doing that wouldn't have, I wouldn't have to bat an eye. But in my advanced age, it's starting to catch up to me. And since the game that I was going to be in was canceled and everything seemed to be going smooth convention wise, there didn't seem to be anybody that, absolutely needed me to step in to a game and be an extra player. I decided to just, wind things up for the day, and that ended up working out pretty well, because it took me a little while to work out some of the knots in my back, and also meant that I could get to sleep a little bit earlier and not be so wiped out for the next day. And the next day was Saturday, so I was able to get up and make the trip. It's about an hour, I'd say. It's highly variable because it's kind of back roads for me. So it depends on, are the roads clear, or you get behind somebody that's a little slow, or if you get behind somebody that's, in a tractor for, quite a while, then that could put me back quite a bit. But everything was kind of cleared up. And made my way back. And Saturday, I was in Castles and Crusades by DM Bloodworth. Or I guess he was Castle Keeper Bloodworth at the time, because he was running Castles and Crusades. And then once again, an excellent group of players. There were 4 of us players, and Bloodworth was running the game. And it was from the starter set, the Castles and Crusades starter set adventure. That was a lot of fun, and our group did very well. And there actually, DM Bloodworth has his own video about the 2 Castles and Crusades games that he ran. So I won't go into any further detail about that game. And instead, you can see down here in the lower left-hand side, point you to his channel and his video if you're interested in that. And in the middle part of Saturday, since I hadn't signed up for any games or anything, it left me a bit of time to go around to the various merchants, and there were on both days there were games on 2 of the floors of the VFW that we were in, and in the lower part, smaller part, was mostly board games and some miniature games. So I got to, since I wasn't actually in a game, neither running it nor playing in a game, I was able to, go around and check out the vendors, and also see what board games people were playing. And one of the guys that was running a miniatures game was kind of doing playtesting for it, and he wasn't, nobody was playing at the time, so I had a bit of time to chat with him, about because miniatures. The miniatures wargaming is not something I've come into contact with it, and been around a lot of people that do it, but I've never quite gotten into it myself. The various skirmish games and full blown. I did some wargaming with like the cardboard counters and such back in the day, but with the miniatures gaming, not so much. So I had a good conversation with him, and also some good conversations with some of the merchants that were out there. One of them, I got he had put together a Forbidden Lands kind of introductory adventure, and I picked that up, and also evidently he's an artist, so he had a lot of his art on different postcards. I think that's what note cards maybe they're called. So I got one of those, and also found in a bin of used material a Pathfinder book. But that's a different story that I won't get into, about how I became involved in a current Pathfinder game, in-person Pathfinder game, which is very interesting. Anyhow, so I saw and picked up my first physical copy of a Pathfinder book, which actually happens to be the original Bestiary. By the way, this is first edition Pathfinder. Also, Jeff Talanian was there for Northwind Games. I think that's the name of his company, Northwind Games, and I picked up a hard copy of both the players and the referees books for the current edition, third edition of Hyperborea, which came with a free atlas as well. And then finally, I also picked up some art prints. I'm showing them here because I couldn't get a good. I was getting a lot of glare off trying to take a picture of these. So these are all three art prints from Chet Minton are all the same size, even though I'm kind of fitting them into the screen where I can. But all excellent pieces. And you had so many more, and each of them was great. But I picked these three pieces as kind of my favorites. And so they are like 11 by 14 inches. I think that's the size of them. And so I can't wait to get those framed, and put them up. They're excellent. And then also was able to take advantage of the VFW was doing the vending of the food, and it was fairly simple kind of stuff, hamburgers and hot dogs and other things, sausage and peppers and things like that, and there are other things on the menu of a similar fare that I can't recall off the top of my head because it's not what I got, but I was able to also sit down and shoot the breeze with a bunch of other people. Joe the lawyer was there, and we were sitting in another guy, Takato, was there, and I had played with him in the Castles and Crusades game, and we had kind of interacted a bit online, on YouTube in the comments and such, but actually got to talk to him in person. So that was that's good. That's another excellent part of the convention scene, or at least the small conventions that I've attended. And mostly I've attended ShireCon, but I've also gone to one other very local convention, AutoCon, and seeing if I can maybe break out into a few other ones. But I still would want to keep with the small conventions because I have zero interest in going to a big commercialized, event that's very, depersonalized. I very much want to keep within this kind of community feel and atmosphere. And so I think that's just to finish up. And the end of Saturday, I did sign up for the Tavern Brawl, which is an interesting animal that Tom Wilson puts on, and it's not really role playing, although you've got these characters, but it's really like I don't even know how to explain it, but it's most like a physical manifestation of a video game, where like your character is spawning in, and round by round you're just like trying to grab some weapons and kill another player and another character, I should say. You get stamps for your character gets stamps for each each round you survive and each other character that character kills. But you're just like cycling through, because it's so much carnage. And and I should also say that this game was Tom was running it for 21 players, so it was a madhouse. But everybody kept it flowing, pretty. Tom was very good at keeping the game going. We took a break after about 2 hours, and my back was kind of acting up again. So after that point, before we resumed from the break, I had to bow out, and head back home, which was good, because I don't think I was anywhere close to, nothing that happened in the first 2 hours was going to be an award-winning performance, So there were plenty of other players. The first year I was in the first Tavern Brawl, I think there was. The site had like 5 names, but I want to think that we had like maybe up to 8 players the first time. So it was a little bit more, a lot less chaotic than this time around. But it was, it's an event. It's it's something to behold. That's what I'll say. So I cut it a little bit short and headed back home. But I had quite a bit of experiences and a lot of loot to carry back with me, and I had a Pathfinder game scheduled for Sunday for the next day. So I was very satisfied with my experience at ShireCon. And so, until I resurface, may your successes be many and your failures be memorable.